Okay.
All righty. Okay, so Kelley Scarsbrook is with us. She is a stay-at-home mom who made that decision when she had a child, and now she tells other stay-at-home moms how to do it, how to survive it, how to do it guilt-free, right? Why do women still have this guilt attached to staying at home?
You know, I don't necessarily think it's guilt as much as it is that, you know, when they've had their careers and that sort of thing, it's hard to make that leap to being a stay-at-home mom full-time. And I want to see, for me, I want to see the pendulum start to go the other way and start to have moms be at home with their children full-time and to make it financially viable for them to do so.
What about being a stay-at-home mom without children? That's
a tough
different thing, isn't it? That's kind of a kept woman
That's
thing.
right.
I don't even know if you can
Let's not go down that route.
anymore.
Yeah, that's right. No.
Okay, so you made this decision when you had a child.
When I had my son, I was actually working 3 days a week part-time with my son, and when I became pregnant the second time, I realized that I really wanted to be at home with them 100%.
Right.
And I started diarizing all my experiences with my children and that sort of thing. And as a result of that, I sent it off to a few places, got picked up by a newspaper. I started writing a column called Mom at Home. Right. And from that little organic idea, I started getting emails from parents who were saying, you know, how are you doing this? How are you at home with your children? Moms saying, you know, this is what I really want to do.
Right. And we would like people to email us this morning, okay? So email us right here, breakfast television at citytv.com. If you've got questions about the staying at home
making
issue,
it financially viable.
How to make it work. See, that's the first thing. If you live in this market and you're a young couple, how can you afford to have one of the income earners stay home?
Well, there's a couple of options that come right to mind, and one of them is, you know, having a home-based business, you know, going into business for yourself. And the other thing is getting creative with your finances. You know, we don't necessarily like to hear that you know, that there are drastic measures that we can take, but there are. We can sacrifice things that...
You do have to sacrifice a bit.
You do.
You can't have it all.
No, you can't, but you have to start making choices now. If you really want to have your children, you know, be at home with your children, and you want to invest in their future, then you're going to, yes, there are going to be sacrifices you have to make financially, but it is doable, from, you know, selling off the car, maybe two cars to one car, somebody start taking the bus, downsizing your house, selling off things, you know, seeing a financial planner and looking at your finances and sticking to a really strict budget.
Things like vacations are going to change.
That's going to be taken off the... Yeah, absolutely.
Or
but you know what?
They're going to be vacations with children.
And you're all doing it locally now. Now you're going out and having a picnic all together and
well,
things
there's
like
nothing wrong with that.
No.
No, nothing wrong with that.
No.
Is there any doubt that children benefit from having one of the parents at home? Is that just a no-brainer?
Well, you know what? In my opinion, it isn't. I'm a firm believer that, you know, even the formative years, especially, your their childhood goes by so quickly, and before you know it, they're older, and you've missed out on all the firsts, all the sort of things that, you know, you realize that you wish you would have been there for. And so I'm wanting to help moms get to that point where they can make it an option in their life.
And by the way, you don't see it as often, but being a stay-at-home dad, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right?
No, I've heard from stay-at-home dads too, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, even just having one parent there all the time is fantastic.
Is the anchor.
Is the
to
anchor.
It all. Then you don't have this latchkey thing and the nanny,
the daycare and all that sort of stuff, and that, you know, there are answers out there. It's just finding the right answer for your life.
But you also have to look after yourself too, Kelley. While you're looking after the kids,
yes,
you got to get enough sleep. You got to eat properly. You got to get exercise. You got to do that. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself into the ground like a tent peg.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're no good to anybody.
Yeah. No, I always say time out for mom is very important. Scheduling it down. You're part of the family. You're an important member of that family too.
Yes.
And to making sure, you know, whether it's posting it on the fridge, or, you know, just making sure that you and your husband come up with a plan that you have time, you have mommy time for yourself. Absolutely. You don't want to lose yourself in your role as mom.
And what about the husband?
Same thing.
Sexy time? We need time for him as well. You got to put something at us. Because you know, this happens to a lot of new fathers. They go through that whole psychological thing with, well, wait a minute now. Now I'm not getting any attention.
Yeah, date night. Date night is very, staying true to that too, making time for, you know, having, you know, some special romantic time.
Sure. You know, there are years that go by as parents where you don't think you're ever going to have any time together.
Well, yes, that's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Yes, I do.
What you used to take for granted, spontaneously, just don't happen anymore. right?
Yes, that's true.
So it's a bit of a journey.
You have to be creative with that as well. Yeah.
And people can find this out. They can read your newspaper column.
Well, absolutely. My
online.
website. I do consulting especially, and that's really what I do for moms is I start examining, I do one-on-ones, helping moms discover how they can either go into business for themselves,
right.
Getting them up with that wonderful, great idea.
Sure. Even if they're not Martha Stewart at heart.
When
you try and awaken something within them.
Yeah, and when they're on maternity leave, this is when women they're most open to that light bulb moment. When they have those wonderful ideas. They see something in the marketplace that it doesn't exist, that never existed before, you know, and they want to fill that niche, but what to do with that idea, how to do that.
Well, we'll talk about that in just a little while.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelley. And we want you to email us, breakfasttelevision@citytv.com, with your questions for Kelley, if you got them about the whole stay-at-home experience, or even some tips that, in fact, you might have. 9:24 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, you're watching BT.
Another summer day has come and gone away from Paris or Rome, but I wanna go.